I like that I'm throwing them a lot. I think there might be some room to throw more curveballs to lefties, sweeper to righties, just because those pitches are a lot slower. So instead of the hitter having to cover 98 and 90 miles an hour, they have to cover 98, 90, 80, and 85, which
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Rays podcast. On today's show, we will continue our great interview with Hunter Bigge. And not to brag on ourselves, we're talking about Hunter Bigge being a great addition to the show, as he talked everything on the field, off the field. Definitely ranks up there as one of our better guests we've had.
Yeah, I mean, the guy just gave us so much insight on the preparedness and the personal and the professional side of a major league pitcher. So I hope you guys enjoyed Tuesday's episode, and hopefully you enjoyed this Wednesday's episode, part of the interview with Hunter Bigge. Without
further ado, let's get into our continuation of chat with Mr. Bigge. And then going from college to the professional ranks, what was that transition like for you in terms of the elevation of hitters and overall talent of the game, coaching as well? You mentioned, obviously, when you go from college to the pros, you do have more free time on your hands, but I imagine it is more demanding in the sense of when you're on the mound, of going from single A, double A, triple A, and then ultimately the majors.
Yeah. No, I mean, every single level has been a pretty big adjustment for me. It hasn't been. I'm not one of those guys that got drafted and just kind of dominated and then got to the big leagues pretty quickly. I got drafted, went to short season ball, and I actually kind of dominated in short season ball. I don't know why. I think I started sleeping more. Like in college, I was sleeping like 3 or 4 hours a night, just like super tired all the time. I wasn't ever sharp on the mound, and I started like getting good sleep, started eating better, started kind of just like training better, I suppose. And I like started throwing upper 90s out of nowhere. I have no idea how that happened. When I was in college, I was a starter. I would sit probably around 90, 91 to 93, touching 95, 96 every now and then. And then the Cubs drafted me and made me a reliever, and I started sitting 97, got up to 99 and pitched really well. And I think I was like, damn, like throwing 99 is fun. Like these hitters can't hit it. It's crazy. But then like COVID happened. I didn't play that whole COVID year because nobody was playing, and got back in 21 and tore my labrum in my left hip during spring training. And so I missed most of that 21 season. And then when I came back, I wasn't the same. I wasn't moving well. I wasn't throwing as hard. I was working really hard to even hit 95 miles an hour. And, my command wasn't there. My feel for my breaking balls wasn't there. And that was like a tough year for me. I struggled a lot in high A. Came back the next season, still continued to struggle in high A for a couple months. And, it was hard. You're questioning whether or not you're good enough to play professionally. And then, something started clicking. I started being able to land my slider for strikes more. And I think that was, the biggest adjustment for me to get from high A to double A, because like if I get in a 2-0 count for a hitter, the first year and a half or so, that I had to throw a fastball right down the middle, and it would get hit a lot. Mm-hmm. And once I started learning how to throw my slider for strikes, 2-0 counts, I started getting a lot of swings and misses with the slider. They chase it because high A hitters are just trying to hit a fastball as far as they can. So that's kind of what helped me get to double A. And then double A, I think the adjustment for me was hitters just had a better feel for the strike zone. So I wasn't getting as much chase. I couldn't just throw a slider wherever. And sometimes you get a guy 0-2, you throw a good slider, they don't swing at it. You're like, what the heck? That was a good slider. But the hitters are just better. So you might need to, throw another good slider, throw a fastball up in the zone. And AAA was the same thing. They had the automatic strike zone, which felt like it was this big. Walks. Everyone was walking a lot of guys in AAA, and I struggled with that a lot. And being able to fill up the strike zone, throw pitches where I wanted them, and have to throw multiple good pitches in an at bat to get a guy out was kind of the thing that I think I learned how to do once I got to AAA. Yeah, I mean, yeah, every level I got to the new level, I struggled and then I figured it out, and then I'd get moved up and then struggle again and then figure it out. And yeah, that's kind of how it's been. It's been a bumpy road for sure.
You mentioned there in the AA, I read that there was a time when there was this overthinking on the mound, that you really were more not letting it rip, as you probably are doing now. And so my question is kind of like twofold. Number one, what made it that you were overthinking on the mound? Like, what kind of factors into that behavior? And then second of all, how are you able to not go down that road again? What kind of steps have you taken, mindfulness or whatever it is, how you practice it, in order to not go down that path again?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think I'm just wired to whenever I'm struggling with something, I want to work really hard at it and, you know, attack it and relentlessly try and improve the thing that I'm trying to get better at. And I've always been that way. And I think as a pitcher, that manifested itself in I'd have a bad outing. Maybe I'm walking guys. So I show up the next day and I'm throwing off the mound a lot before trying to work on, you know, getting my curveball for a strike. And I'd throw it as many times as it took for me to consistently throw it for a strike. And I think I was just working myself a little too hard. So I'd show up to the game and I'd be exhausted because I already threw 30 pitches in the bullpen before at like 3:00 when we had a 7:00 game. And I'd throw out there and my fastball wouldn't be as hard. And then I'd be like, why isn't my fastball as hard? And I'd start trying to overthrow it and start spraying it again. And then it would just be this vicious cycle of not performing well, not sleeping well because I'm anxious about my performance. I didn't pitch well, showing up the next day, working out really hard because I'm super stressed. And I think like exercise and, you know, lifting heavy weights and throwing a lot is like, it was my coping mechanism for dealing with all those struggles. And, you know, this off season, I worked a lot on mindfulness. I worked a lot on breathing, getting in tune with my breath, and just kind of letting go of, I think, a lot of the anxiety associated with performance and just believing in myself a little bit more. And so this year, you know, it's like I've had a couple bad outings and I recognize what I want to do when those happen. I want to, you know, throw as much weight on the deadlift bar as possible and just try and lift a bunch of weight to, you know, get that negativity out of me. And because I've been down that path before, I know that it's not the right path for me. And just realizing that the best thing I can do after a tough outing is, you know, maybe I don't even work out after a tough outing and just like relaxing and, you know, talking to my wife and just letting it go a little bit. And I think I've just been able to do that a little bit more. And I think that's just part of, you know, maturing as a person and just realizing that life isn't always going to go your way. And that doesn't mean that you're like a bad pitcher, like a bad person. It's just kind of, that's life. And realizing that your next outing is how you respond after you're hit with that adversity and that struggle is the most important. And yeah, I don't know. I think I've just matured a little bit and taken a lot of pressure off myself, which has been
Makes
nice.
sense.
Yeah.
Kind of related to that, what is your approach to preparing for a game? If you can walk us through your pregame routine on a day-to-day basis, and kind of tied into that, the relationship of working with the Rays catchers or any catchers as well, just kind of get us inside the mind of how that all works and evolves.
Yeah. I mean, I've my approach as a pitcher, which I'll talk about my approach as a pitcher. You know, I'm trying to throw my fastball up in the zone. You know, it's got a good carry, four seam. Throw my slider in the strike zone whenever, and then kind of put away lefties with my curveball and put away righties with my sweeper. And I also think, you know, in AAA when I got there, I was getting too into scouting reports. You know, this guy hits the fastball well, so don't throw him a fastball. But now I'm kind of the mindset that I have a really good fastball, and so I just want to attack with my strengths. And, you know, maybe they hit fastballs well, but I don't think they can hit my fastball well, you know, and right. that confidence and just not really deviating too much from my approach. I honestly like try not to look at scouting reports too much. I communicate with catchers as to what my game plan is, and
Mhm.
the catchers know what it is, and just trying to simplify it as much as possible, because I have a tendency to overthink. So I think less is more with me. Then on a day-to-day basis, I have my movement routine that I do every day. I start the day with a lot of breathing exercises just to get my body relaxed and able to move efficiently. Once I finish that up, go out and play catch. I don't throw too much before the game. I probably throw it like 20, 30 times in catch play. Pretty light and easy. I'll probably let it eat a little bit at the end of catch play, but it's only for 1 or 2 throws, depending on how I'm feeling. And then, I get back into the locker room, eat some food. Then right before the game starts, throw on my headphones, listen to some music, and kind of meditate, breathe a little bit, run a couple sprints, and lock it in for when it's time to pitch. Nothing too crazy.
Passion, drive, and patience, that is the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money is returned, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. So with all the parts you need at the prices you want, it is easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers.
Is there a specific playlist that you're listening before the game? Is it always on shuffle? Like, how does that go?
Yeah, I have a pregame playlist that I like to listen to, but it's like I've been listening to it all year, so I need to start getting some new songs in there, I think. But yeah, it's like a lot of rap, some kind of. It's like I start with like some Tame Impala, some vibey music, and then I'll finish it with some rap to get me fired up for the game. It's usually how.
You've mentioned chess, but in your downtime when you're not playing baseball, what are some of your hobbies and interests besides chess? And just is it playing other sports? Is it watching Netflix, reading books? What are you involved in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think like what happens when I get home. Get back from the field. My wife's been with me the whole year, so I'll hang out with her. I got really into golf a couple off seasons ago, so
Okay.
I love to play golf. I tore my oblique this year, so I haven't golfed at all this year, just because I don't want to. I rotate enough, and I'm swinging my body around enough that I'm putting golf on the back burner right now until the off season. But I usually would like to golf on off days or mornings after I pitched, things like that.
Okay.
Like reading books. I like watching Netflix when I get home, just to decompress, hang out with my wife, play chess. I like fantasy football, like going on hikes in the off season. Honestly, in season, I don't have a lot of work-life balance. It's kind of just sleep in, get breakfast, hang out, maybe play a little bit of chess on my phone, read a little bit, and then go to the field and play baseball all day. And then when I get home, I'm usually pretty exhausted, and I just am trying to get to sleep.
You kind of surprised me earlier. You said that you kind of try to not look at scouting reports too much.
Yeah.
But you're the kind of guy that has the brain, the adaptability to understand all that stuff. Have you gone in and understood it and said, you know what, if I look at this, it's going to be just too much on the mound, like you said, overthinking? Or do you just like not really care for that many new stats?
Yeah, so I love all the analytics out of baseball. I think it's really interesting. I love talking to people about it. And I've done a lot of deep dives into it over my years in the minor leagues. The Cubs were really big on analytics, and they gave us a lot of tools to kind of do our own research and stuff, which was, fun. It's like I've learned a lot about it, and I'm a big believer in all the advanced analytics of baseball. But, I think I've learned that sometimes I get a little like, I am pretty analytical. And but that analytical side of myself is not the side of myself that allows me to perform at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I was working in the front office, then that analytical side of myself would be very valuable, but it's not as a baseball player. As a baseball player, my job is to go out there and like not think, get in the flow state and throw the ball as hard as I can. And when I'm being analytical that stands in the way of it a little bit. And honestly, for me, that approach I talk about of just throwing the ball as hard as I can and attacking right-hand hitters with my slider and sweeper and left-handed hitters with my slider and curveball. That is the best analytical approach for me as a baseball player. But if I get too into the weeds on it, then it doesn't work. I'm unable to like execute those nasty pitches that analytically will increase my chances of pitching well. And so I think it's just like I learned a lot about it, and now it's just I'm coming out of it and I'm taking away like a few cues that are super simple and easy to execute and don't lead me to overthink when I'm on the mound. And so that's kind of why I don't look at scouting reports too much. I also think sometimes, looking at scouting reports, if a hitter hits a certain pitch really well, you start to get a little scared to throw that pitch. And if you're looking at the scouting report for like Yordan Alvarez, it's like this dude is just a really good hitter. I'd rather just not even think about how good of a hitter he is. And I mean, like going to the big leagues for the first time, I remember we were playing the Cardinals. I was facing like Paul Goldschmidt, and I was like, holy crap, I'm facing Paul Goldschmidt. This is insane. I remember facing him when I grew up, and he got like a line drive single off me because I was trying to be too fine with the pitch, and I just hung a slider right down the middle, and I wasn't fully committed to the pitch because I was too concerned with who was in the box. And so I guess that's kind of why I talk about like not trying to get too much into scouting reports and just pitching to my strengths.
No, that if you're going to get beat, might as well get beat with what you do best. That's what you hear that. Mm-hmm. Your pitch distribution, I'm looking at it right now. It's 60% four seam, 28% slider. So that's 88%.
Yeah.
Is that something that you like about your pitch distribution this year? Is that something that you might think, hey, you know what? I kind of miss my curveball. I want to throw that curveball a little bit. Is what goes on with your pitch distribution, and are you thinking about maybe incorporating that curveball a little bit more?
Yeah, so like coming to the Rays, I think I've been throwing my fastball and slider a lot more. They love those two pitches. The Cubs really like my curveball against lefties and my sweeper against righties. I don't think the Rays like them as much. Those two pitches are my favorite pitches to throw. So I like that I'm throwing them a lot. I think there might be some room to throw more curveballs to lefties, sweeper to righties, just because those pitches are a lot slower. So instead of the hitter having to cover 98 and 90 miles an hour, they have to cover 98, 90, 80, and 85, which, sometimes hitters are on like a super hard or on like a 98 mile an hour fastball, poorly located slider at 90. They still are a little out front, but they're still able to hit it. Whereas, if I locate like a sweeper in that situation better, they're going to be way more out front and might roll over it or swing and miss. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, I'm not really thinking about pitch distributions too much when I'm out there. It's more of a pitch to pitch. What do I want to throw here? And most of the time it's either a fastball or a cutter.
PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports with over 5 million active members. Kevin, do you think there's more than 5 million Colts fans?
I hope so.
You would hope so. Hope so. Are they going to have a good season this year?
I hope so. I think they will. Based on my fantasy football draft picks, I took a lot of Colts players. So that is the goal here.
Well, guess what? Maybe you can take Kevin Weiss's advice and go on PrizePicks and do a lot of PrizePicks playing with Colts players. You could do that, even if you're a Bucs fan, right? You just want to win. And you can do that at PrizePicks. In fact, they have this. Okay, so you can, unlike other apps, it's just you against the numbers, which is pretty fun. So today, there's no time to delay. Download the PrizePicks app and use code LOCKEDONMLB. Get $50 instantly. Okay, like that when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you just play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed, and more things in life should be guaranteed, people. PrizePicks, run your game. Whether you want to make it to a soccer, football, baseball game, Game Time is where you should get those tickets. And you know what? It's because they have so many good things about it in that app. For example, they have seat views. You can get a panoramic view from the view of your seat just to know what you're kind of going to be experiencing. That's awesome. And they have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you with 110% of the difference. That's pretty cool. So today, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
Now, on the Rays, being with the team for a month plus right now, who have you maybe connected with the most on the field and personally? Are there a couple players that you've really kind of developed a friendship with in this short time with the team?
Yeah, a little bit. I've been, all the guys in the bullpen are great. I typically sit next to Kevin Kelly. I think he's a cool guy, like him. I don't know. I'm still getting to know guys. I wouldn't say I'm like super close friends with anyone yet, but everyone's super nice and welcoming, and I feel like I can talk to anybody. So yeah, I don't know. So still working on making friends.
Yeah, of course. It's like going into a new school, right? Like it's just getting to know people and their personalities, what makes them tick. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What kind of a bullpen guy are you during the first? Let's say we already in this podcast, you're a high leverage arm. Okay, so we're just gonna go with that, right? So high leverage arm, you're not seeing any action before the 7th inning is in. So what kind of a guy are you from inning 6 to 6? Are you cracking jokes? Are you on it? Are you like, who are you in the bullpen?
Yeah, I am. I'm not. I wouldn't really describe myself as a high leverage guy yet for the Rays. I like, yesterday I started with 3 innings, and I was, when he got taken out, I was like, oh, his pitch count's getting up, and I was thinking that I might pitch in the 3rd inning. So I'm not. I think in the bullpen, it's like the starter is pitching, and when his pitch count starts to get up, that's when I start locking it in. I start moving around. I start getting my body prepared. But before that, I'm probably a little joking, not too locked in, just trying to keep it loose, because it's easy to be down there and just be stressed and freaking out the whole game,
Right.
So I try to not do that until it's necessary to start locking it in. Just like hanging out with the guys and trying to keep it loose up until the point where I think I might be able to go in. I'm still trying to figure out what my role is, still trying to be able to understand that a little bit better, and I just don't right now. So it's definitely, I'm more locked in for more of the game than I am, like when I was in AAA, when I knew that I was pitching in, the 8th and the 9th inning.
Right.
So,
and let me preface this by saying we believe you will be a high leverage arm one day. You have the potential and the stuff and the skill set to be a high leverage arm.
Exactly.
So no pressure on that front. So you mentioned a couple things and kind of some hobbies and interest. I just want to go back to that for a second. Golf. What is your handicap right now, you would say?
All right. So your handicap, I've been golfing for 2 years.
Okay.
I'd say I don't know what my handicap. I think on I have like an app that I track my scores. My handicap's like a 12.
Okay.
So that would be like
you're shooting like 84, 85, give or take.
So if I shoot an 85, I'm happy about that, and that was a solid round. If I shoot below a 90, I'm like, all right, yeah, that was a pretty good round. If I shoot above a 90, I'm like, that was a bad round. So that's kind of where I'm at. If I shoot like 83, 84, I'm like, yeah, I was locked in that day. I was golfing to my potential. That's pretty good. It's like I probably shot like 6 or 7 times below 85, and I haven't golfed that much, so my handicap is like 12. But I'm realistically probably not shooting an 84 every single time. I'm probably shooting around like 88 to 90.
Yeah. I got you. Still not bad at all.
Yeah. I can hit the ball pretty far. Sometimes I hit it out of bounds, and my short game needs to improve.
Right. Okay. There's a lot of golfers on the Rays team. My understanding is,
a lot of baseball players are really good at golf.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm shooting an 84. I'm playing with my friends from high school. I'm dominating them, and then I play with baseball players, and I'm like the worst guy. It's funny.
That's what
and as far as Netflix, you mentioned watching Netflix like everybody else does. What is your kind of go-to show right now?
My wife is gonna hate me for saying this, but I've been watching Law and Order Special Victims Unit a lot, and I'm addicted to it. I love it. I'm on like season 18. I just can't get enough of it. I'll like watch it before bed, and my wife's like, why do we need to watch this stuff? It's so scary and bad, but it's just something about the formula of it. You kind of always know what's gonna happen, and they're always fun little mysteries. I love guessing who the perpetrator was and following along with Detective Olivia Benson. It's
You never run out of episodes because there's like a million episodes.
There's so many episodes. I'm I'm trying aggressively to finish it, so I just don't have to watch it anymore because like I can't wait to watch an episode of SVU. And
That's very ambitious, almost as ambitious as going to Harvard, I guess. And then I'll let Ulises ask a question after this, but reading books, what is kind of your go-to book right now, or a book that's on your pedestal of I love that one?
Yeah, I read a lot of sci-fi books. I'm reading a book called Mollified right now by this guy named Hugh Howey. I don't know if you've seen the show Silo. It was on one of the streaming platforms. He wrote another book called Wool, which they did like I don't think it's Netflix, it might be Amazon Prime series about, but he's a good sci-fi writer, like fun, exciting books. I like reading Andy Weir, the guy that wrote The Martian, which is another movie that came out with Matt Damon. He wrote another like 2 other sci-fi books that I really like. Like I'm a physics guy, so like I really like books that are based on principles of physics, and then they take them out to an absurd level and kind of create a world where they're doing cool futuristic stuff.
Is that something that maybe you would have done if baseball hadn't worked out? Just lean into your physics love, or maybe investment banking? I know that you also had an internship there as well. So who would Hunter be if baseball hadn't worked out?
That's a great question. I think I'd probably be working in like Silicon Valley startup world, whether that's, like investing in companies or, working at a startup. I worked at a startup during 2020. I was an intern there during COVID, and then I started working there full time up until the baseball season started. And that was super fun. I really enjoyed the process of, helping the founders build a company. I was like their first sales guy. So I was talking to all their first customers and stuff. And
that's cool.
Kind of was like a jack of all trades there too. Cause you only have 6 or 7 people there. So you kind of have to do everything. And I like that aspect of working, but yeah, I mean, I have no idea. I was going to work at BlackRock, this like investment firm, just because that was what everyone else, was doing. And I figured I should have a job.
I was thinking that maybe, because obviously the connection between playing baseball, going to Harvard, maybe MLB GM or president, front office exec, something in that realm. But
I mean the head of, so this guy named Craig Breslow, he went to Yale and then pitched in the big leagues for 10 years, and then he was the Cubs head of pitching for a while, and he just got the job of like chief baseball officer for the Red Sox. And he's a guy whose career I want to emulate. I think that would be super fun to play in the big leagues for a long time, and then maybe move over to the front office afterwards. And just I love baseball. I think it's super fun. I think it's cool how much data goes into it, and how teams are aggressively trying to look for these small edges and trying to be contrarian and correct and kind of who they're getting, and trying to put together championship teams. I think is like a really cool goal.
We've seen a lot of guys do that. Sam Fold has been doing that. Chris Young with the Rangers too. So it's really cool when you see that. Okay, last one of the fun ones. Facing any hitter, past or present, game on the line, but you want that big challenge. Who's in that box facing you?
Gotta go with Barry Bonds, the greatest baseball player of all time. I would love to face Barry Bonds. I would hate to face him, but it would be fun for me to see if I could get him out, see if I could strike out. Like if I struck out Barry Bonds, that would be pretty.
Is it just like with your stuff? Like let's play a little bit MLB The Show here. you just have to attack them fastballs high in the zone, but tight, right? That's what you have to do.
I don't know. So like Barry Bonds hit the inside pitch really well. Like
True.
He was hard to beat in. And so I don't know. I'd honestly probably start him off. Like I'd probably try and go fastballs away.
Okay.
And, maybe he flies out to the left fielder. It's like, I'm not trying to let Barry Bonds hit a bomb to pull side bomb against me.
Okay.
I'd probably, and then if I got him to 2 strikes, I think I'm just trying to go back foot slider and make sure I really get it to the back foot. And I think if I leave it over the plate, he might hit it 500 feet. But
yeah,
fastballs up and away, and then back foot sliders. Maybe try and sneak a curveball in there. But
okay, that curveball is 6% usage.
Maybe like fastball away, and then like flipping a curveball, try and steal a strike, and then back foot slider. That would be my ideal thing to do to Barry Bonds.
That's nasty. And on that end, how else could we end this podcast? Hunter, thank you so much for your time, for letting Rays fans get to know you a little bit more. We want to get these out there. Just we understand that baseball is fun and we like it, but we also kind of want to get the inside, the personal stuff for you guys to kind of show that level to the fans. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. It was fun talking to y'all.